In a live showdown, Seth Meyers went straight for Donald Trump's throat, mocking the billionaire president's carefully crafted family man image as nothing more than a lie, ripping open the darkest rumor in American political history and forcing the entire nation to watch as he slammed down undeniable proof that Barron Trump wasn't just Donald's son. He was the product of Trump and Ivanka. It started with a late-night email that popped into Seth Meyers' inbox like a bomb nobody saw coming. A former White House staffer who had worked the family wing for 2 years sent it anonymously. No name, no return address, just a plain text file and 3 short video clips. The message was blunt. Barron doesn't look like Melania. He looks exactly like Ivanka at that age. Same eyes, same chin, same way he tilts his head when he smiles. Check the timeline. Ivanka was in the residence non-stop 9 months before he was born. Melania was barely there. Seth sat in his office at 1 a.m., coffee going cold, and stared at the screen. He ran the clips side by side with old family photos. The resemblance hit him hard. He cross-checked dates, travel logs, and public schedules for an hour. Everything lined up too perfectly. By morning, he had made his decision. That night on Late Night, Seth didn't crack jokes. He laid the rumor out straight, voice calm but eyes serious. Look, I'm not saying this is true, but a source close to the family just handed me something that makes you stop and wonder. Watch this. He played the clips. The studio went dead quiet. Millions watching at home froze too. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Donald Trump saw it at 7:12 a.m. while eating breakfast in the residence. His phone exploded. He read the tweets, watched the clip, and his face turned red. He didn't call advisors. He didn't wait for a statement. He grabbed his phone and started typing with both thumbs, the way he always did when he was pissed. The first tweet hit at 7:18. Seth Meyers is a disgusting fake news coward spreading lies about my beautiful family. Barron is my son with Melania, period. The next one came 30 seconds later. This low-life host thinks he can attack my daughter and my youngest boy? Pathetic. Then the third one, the one that changed everything. If Seth Meyers really believes his own garbage, come face me live, one-on-one, no scripts, no cuts. Let's settle this like men. Prove it or shut up forever. By 7:30, Trump had posted 12 tweets in a row. The internet caught fire. Every news outlet scrambled to cover it. The rumor that had been whispered for weeks was now front-page news because the President of the United States had just thrown down the gauntlet on live television. Seth was already in makeup when his producer ran in with the phone. Trump just went nuclear on you. Seth read the storm, leaned back, and let out a short laugh. The audience was already seated when the show started. He walked out, sat down, and held up his phone to the camera. Well, folks, the president saw the segment, and he's not happy. The crowd laughed nervously. Seth gave that half smile he was famous for, the one that said he wasn't scared. Mr. President, you just challenged me to go live. No scripts, no edits. So here's my answer. He looked straight into the lens. I accept. But let's make it real. You say the rumor is fake? Then prove me wrong on national television. Or are you only good at tweeting? The studio erupted. People clapped. Some gasped. Seth kept going. I'll bring everything I have. You bring the truth. Deal? Before the first commercial break ended, Trump's phone lit up again. He fired back instantly. The new tweet flashed on the big screen behind Seth. You're on, Seth. Live. No excuses. If you can't prove it, you shave your head right there on stage. No wig, no hat, bald like a cue ball. Prove it or shave your head live, Seth. No excuses. The audience lost it. Seth read it out loud, then looked dead into the camera again. Game on! Right as the show was wrapping, another anonymous message hit Seth's phone. This time it was a short video clip from 2 years earlier. Trump and Ivanka at a private family event, standing close. He leans in, kisses her on the cheek, and the kiss lingers way too long. Ivanka's hand rests on his chest. The camera catches Barron in the background, watching them. Seth watched it once, twice, then stood up in the middle of the control room. "We're saving this one," he told his team, voice low but excited. He turned to the camera for the final seconds of the show. "Mr. President, I just got something new. A little video that's going to make people ask even harder questions. I'm bringing real proof to our face-off. See you soon." The screen cut to black on his smirk. Twitter, Instagram, every comment section blew up at once. The rumor wasn't a rumor anymore. It was a full-blown showdown, and the whole country was already leaning in, waiting for the moment two men would step onto the same stage and blow the lid off everything. The next night on Late Night, Seth Meyers didn't waste any time. The studio was packed tighter than usual, and the energy felt like a prize fight. He walked out, sat down, and looked straight into the camera. "All right, America. Last night the president challenged me to go live, one-on-one. No scripts, no edits, no safety net. I'm not backing down. I accept." The crowd cheered loud. Seth held up a piece of paper with the rules he had written himself. "Here's how it's gonna go. One night live on this stage. No commercials cutting us off. No producers stepping in. Everything stays on air. At the end, the studio audience and viewers at home vote in real time. Did I prove the rumor has legs or not? Winner takes all." He paused, letting it sink in. "Mr. President, if you're watching, this is your shot. Show up. Let's settle it like you said." Trump didn't wait long. 30 minutes after the show ended, he went live from the White House on his personal account. Millions tuned in instantly. He sat behind the resolute desk, sleeves rolled up, looking straight into the lens with that familiar smirk. "Seth Meyers just accepted my challenge. Good for him. But let's make the stakes real. If he proves absolutely nothing, and we all know he won't, he doesn't just shave his head on live TV. He gets on his knees, apologizes to my family, to my daughter Ivanka, and to my son Barron in front of the entire country. Public apology, no weasel words. That's the deal." He pointed at the camera. "You wanted this, Seth. Now you're gonna get it. See you soon, buddy." The live stream chat went insane. Within minutes, it was trending #1 everywhere. People were already picking sides, making memes, and placing bets on who would crack first. Back in his office the following afternoon, Seth was deep in prep. He had a thick folder ready. The framed photo from the leaked video still, a USB drive with the new audio clip of Trump and Ivanka talking privately, and signed statements from 2 former staffers who were willing to go on record. His team was nervous. One of the producers pulled him aside. "We just got a weird call. Someone claiming to be from the Trump orbit said it would be a shame if your family got dragged into this mess. Sounded like a threat." Seth's jaw tightened. He didn't panic. Instead, he walked straight onto the set for a quick evening update. Cameras rolled live. "I just heard some noise from the Trump team," he said, looking calm but serious. "Indirect threats won't stop this. I've got more evidence coming in every day. Photos, audio, people ready to talk. Mr. President, you still ready? Or are you already sweating?" He held up the thick envelope. "I've got something brand new for our big night. You better bring your best." 3 days later, the studio felt like it was about to explode. Seats were filled an hour early. Security was everywhere. Cameras were triple-checked. Then the side door opened, and Donald Trump walked in wearing a dark suit and red tie, smiling like he already owned the room. The audience gave a mix of cheers and boos. Trump waved, shook a few hands, and took his seat across from Seth. He looked confident, almost relaxed. But Seth stayed stone-faced. Under the desk, hidden from the wide shots but visible to the front rows, sat a large yellow envelope, thick and sealed. Whispers started spreading through the studio. "That's the evidence," someone said loud enough for the mics to catch. "Deadly stuff." Trump glanced over, still smiling, but his eyes locked on that envelope for a split second. Seth leaned forward slightly, tapped the desk twice, and looked straight at the president. "Ready when you are, sir." Trump leaned back in his chair like he owned the studio, flashing that big, confident grin. Seth sat straight, calm, a slight smile on his face. For the first 30 seconds, it almost felt like regular TV banter. Trump cracked a joke about late-night hosts being desperate for ratings. Seth fired back lightly about Twitter fingers. The audience laughed. Then Seth leaned forward, voice steady. "Mr. President, let's get right to it. Why do you protect Ivanka more than Melania? You jump in front of every attack on your daughter, but we rarely hear you do the same for your wife. What's that about?" The studio went quiet, fast. Trump's smile didn't fade right away, but his eyes sharpened. Trump sat up, pointing across the desk. "You know what, Seth? You're a sad, failing comedian who's been irrelevant for years. Nobody watches your show anymore unless it's to laugh at how bitter you are. And dragging my family into this? You should be ashamed. I built a business empire, I built this country back up, and here you are hiding behind rumors because your own career is in the toilet. How's your family doing with all this, by the way? Still proud of Daddy going after a man's kids on national television?" The personal shots landed hard. The studio audience erupted. Some gasped, others shouted, "Whoa!" A few clapped for Trump, but most looked stunned. Seth didn't flinch. He just nodded slowly, letting the boos and cheers mix in the air. Seth reached under the desk and pulled out a small recorder. "You want to talk about family? Fine. Let's hear from someone who actually worked in the White House residence." He hit play. A man's voice filled the studio, distorted just enough to protect the source, but clear as day. "I saw it for 2 years, when President Trump thought no one was watching, the way he looked at Ivanka. It wasn't how a father looks at his daughter. It was intense, protective in a different way. He'd say things like, 'You're the only one who gets me,' when they were alone in the room. I heard it more than once." The recording stopped. Dead silence hit the crowd. Then murmurs started spreading. Trump let out a loud laugh, but his right hand gripped the arm of the chair so tight his knuckles turned white. Seth didn't give him time to recover. He reached down again and pulled out the first framed photo. It was big, glossy, and he slammed it right in front of Trump on the desk. The image showed Donald Trump and Ivanka dressed like a bride and groom. White dress, black tux, big smiles, standing way too close. It looked shockingly real, even though it had been carefully altered. Trump stared at it. The studio audience leaned forward, phones already sneaking up to record. Gasps turned into loud chatter. Seth looked Trump dead in the eyes. "Explain that, Mr. President, because a lot of people are going to have a hard time believing this is nothing." Trump kept laughing, but it sounded forced now. His hand stayed locked on the chair like he was holding himself back. The framed photo sat on the desk like a loaded gun. The entire studio went dead silent. No coughs, no whispers, just hundreds of people holding their breath at the same time. Trump stared at the image, him and Ivanka in wedding clothes, smiling like it was the real deal. For 8 long seconds he didn't move. His face froze halfway between a smirk and shock. His eyes widened just a fraction, jaw tight, the color in his cheeks fading for a moment. The man who never shut up looked completely caught off guard. Seth let the silence hang there, then leaned in and asked the question everyone was thinking. "Have you married your own daughter yet, President?" Trump blinked hard, then slowly sat back. He forced a calm look back on his face, but his voice came out a little tighter than usual, a slight shake at the edge. "People will believe anything with Photoshop, Seth. It's a joke, a sad, desperate joke. I regret nothing. Not my family, not my success, and definitely not sitting here wasting my time with you." Some people in the audience started clapping. Others booed loudly. The mix created a messy roar that rolled through the studio. Trump nodded like he had just scored a point, but his hand was still gripping the chair tight. Seth didn't even pause. He reached under the desk again and hit play on the next clip. This one was raw audio, recorded in a private residence hallway 2 years earlier. Trump's voice came through crystal clear. "You're the only one who truly understands me, Ivanka. Nobody else. Not like you." The way he said her name sounded too soft, too close. The studio audience gasped. Trump actually jerked back in his seat for the first time all night. His shoulders tensed, eyes flashed with real surprise, and for half a second he looked like a man who had just been punched in the gut. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out right away. Trump finally recovered and slammed his hand on the desk. "Enough of this garbage. Show real proof or shut up, Seth. Stop hiding behind edited clips and fake pictures. Put up or shut up." His voice boomed across the stage. Seth just smiled, slow and calm, the same half-smirk he used when he knew he had the upper hand. He tapped the thick envelope still sitting under the desk. "You just asked for it, Mr. President. Here's the next part." The crowd leaned forward again. The tension felt electric, like the whole room was 1 second away from exploding. Trump stared at Seth, eyes narrowed. Seth didn't give the room a chance to breathe. He picked up the remote, and the big screen behind them lit up with the short video clip. There was Ivanka in a quiet White House hallway, no one else around, holding little Barron close in her arms. She kissed the top of his head and whispered, "My little secret, you're safe with Mommy." The way she said it felt way too intimate for a mother talking to her grandson. The clip was only 15 seconds long, but it hit the studio like a slap. People froze in their seats. A few covered their mouths. Seth let it play twice so nobody could miss the words. Then he switched to the second testimony. Another former staffer's voice filled the speakers, steady and clear. "I was working late in the residence. I heard President Trump say it plain as day while he was alone with Ivanka. He put his hand on her shoulder and told her, 'Barron is our miracle.' Not my son, not Melania's boy. He said our miracle." The look on his face when he said it. I've never seen a father look at his daughter like that. The studio went so quiet you could hear the cameras humming. Then the murmurs started, growing louder by the second. Trump's face changed. He shoved his chair back hard and jumped to his feet. The chair scraped loudly across the floor. He pointed his finger straight at Seth, arm shaking with anger. "You are destroying an innocent child's life with these disgusting lies," he yelled, voice booming through the studio. "Barron is my son. This is sick. You're a sick, twisted man using a little boy for cheap ratings. I will sue you, your network, everybody involved. You'll lose everything." His face was red, eyes wide with fury. The audience exploded. Some people shouted, "That's right," while others yelled, "Sit down." The whole room felt like it was on the edge of a fight. Security guards moved closer to the stage, hands ready, but nobody stepped in yet. The tension was so thick it was hard to breathe. Seth stayed in his chair, back straight, eyes locked on Trump. He didn't raise his voice. Instead, he reached into the thick envelope and pulled out another piece of paper. "This is an email from Ivanka to you, Mr. President, sent from her private account last year," he said calmly. He held it up so the cameras could see the header clearly, then started reading loud and slow. "Dad, just checking in. The family secret is still safe. No one will ever understand what we have. Keep Baron protected and out of the spotlight. We handle this together like we always do. Love you more than anything." The words hung in the air. The studio lost it. Gasps turned into loud shouts. Some people stood up. Trump's face went from red to deep purple. Sweat broke out on his forehead. For the first time all night, he looked like he was losing control. His voice shot up higher, almost cracking. "That email is fake! Totally fake! You made that up, you liar!" He slammed both fists on the desk so hard the framed photo jumped. "You're trying to destroy my family." Now both men were talking over each other, voices rising fast. "You're the one hiding the truth," Seth fired back. Trump cut him off immediately. "You have zero real proof, you pathetic hack. This is all made-up garbage." Seth jumped in again. "Then why does your own daughter call your son my little secret?" Trump shouted louder. "Because you edited it. You're desperate." The studio audience was going wild. People yelling, booing, cheering, some arguing with each other in the seats. Phones were sneaking up everywhere. The chaos felt raw and completely out of control. Seth finally raised his hand and cut through the noise. "Mr. President, answer the question. You still want me to shave my head live on this stage? Or are you ready to apologize to the American people right now for everything you've hidden?" Trump stopped cold. The shouting died down. The entire studio fell into a heavy, uncomfortable silence. 10 long seconds passed. Trump just stared at Seth, breathing hard, chest rising and falling. His hands were clenched into fists at his sides. Then he leaned all the way across the desk, face only inches from Seth's, and whispered something so quietly that only Seth could hear it. His lips barely moved. Seth's eyes narrowed slightly. Whatever Trump said made the front rows lean forward, trying to guess. "Was that a threat?" someone whispered loudly. The whole room was buzzing with guesses. Seth knew it was time to end it. He reached under the desk one last time and held up a small USB drive. "This is the final card, Mr. President," he said quietly. The big screen lit up with the shortest but most devastating clip of the night. It showed Trump leaning down, kissing Ivanka on the forehead. The kiss lasted way too long, almost tender. Little Baron stood right beside them, holding Ivanka's hand. Then Trump's voice came through clear on the audio. "Our boy, he's perfect." The studio exploded. People shouted, gasped, some jumped out of their seats. A wave of noise rolled through the room. Half shock, half disbelief. The clip played again in slow motion so nobody could miss the words or the look on Trump's face. Phones lit up everywhere as people recorded their screens. The roar got so loud the producers had to turn up the mics. Trump pushed his chair back violently and stood up all the way. He walked around the desk, no barrier left between him and Seth. They stood face to face, inches apart. His voice shook, but he tried hard to keep it steady. "You crossed every single line tonight, Seth. Every line. This is disgusting. But the American people know the truth. They know what's real and what's fake. They've seen through this witch hunt from the beginning." His hands were clenched at his sides. Sweat shone on his forehead under the bright lights. For a second it looked like he might swing, but he held himself back, breathing heavy, eyes locked on Seth. Seth didn't back up. He turned to the camera and the studio audience. "It's time to decide," he said. "Right now, Liv. You've seen the photos, the videos, the testimonies. Does the rumor have real legs? Should President Trump apologize to the country? Or do I shave my head right here on this stage? Vote now. The poll is open on your screens at home and on the big board." The results started rolling in within 30 seconds. The studio audience voted first. Then the online numbers flooded in. It wasn't even close. 68% said Trump should apologize. The crowd cheered loud while Trump's supporters booed angrily. The numbers stayed up on the screen for everyone to see. Trump stared at the results, jaw tight. He didn't apologize. He also didn't demand the head shave. Instead, he looked straight into the camera and said, "We'll settle this another way. Not like this. Not on your terms." Then he turned and walked off the stage without another word. The studio erupted into complete chaos. Loud boos mixed with massive applause, people standing, shouting, arguing with each other. The directors cut to black faster than planned, but the noise still leaked through as the show ended. When the feed cut, Seth stayed seated for a second, looking straight into the main camera. His voice was calm, but firm. "Truth always wins, even when it's ugly." The screen faded to black on his face. "So tell me, who do you think really won tonight? Trump, who walked away without apologizing or shaving Seth's head? Or Seth, who put everything on the line and made the country watch?" Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm reading every single one.